Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Stephanie Dion. I'm Director of Marketing for Extend, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webcast introducing MetriX Dashboards 4.0. Before we begin, I'd like to review a few brief housekeeping items. All participants will be kept on mute for the duration of the call. The webcast is going to be recorded, and we'll be making the archived version of the presentation available to everyone within 2 business days. We'd love to take as many questions as we can at the conclusion of the presentation, and you may submit these at any time using the questions box on the side of your screen. At the conclusion of the webcast, a brief survey will come up on your screen, and the first 20 participants to respond will receive a $10 Amazon gift card, so please take the opportunity to share your feedback with us today. I'm pleased to now introduce today's presenter. With us on the call is Ron Shaner, President and CEO of Extend. Ron, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, and thanks everybody for joining us today. I know that everybody's probably have a busy day ahead of them, and so we appreciate you taking some time out of the day to join us for this webcast. Again, my name is Ron Shaner. I'm with Extend, and I've got basically 2 things I wanted to accomplish today, and that was really to talk about things that are going on in the marketplace as it relates to analytics and BI and the hype and excitement around that market. And we wanted to introduce our MetriX 4.0 product that was just released a few weeks ago. The real key message that we want everybody to take away from this is how do we simplify access to real-time data, how do we drive these costs down, and how do we become more successful with these projects. And as part of this, we're going to talk about some things that are going on, and then we'll also include a demonstration of MetriX 4.0. So with that being said, I'll get started. Right out of the gate, what is it that we require? What are we looking for from an analytics perspective today? Well, let's keep it real simple. The fundamental thing that we're looking for is how do we get access to better reporting? And that's really the fundamental message around that, which is what everybody wants. Whether you're talking about dashboards, visualizations, BI, or big data, we all want better reporting, and it's really that simple. And from there, as we kind of increase the value of that data, we really want greater access to the data that we care about. And the data that we care about is the information that we can use to make more timely and well-informed decisions as it relates to our job. And then one of the big aspects of reporting, one of the things that we really want to improve upon is we want to have notifications when things are going bad. It's one thing when we start talking about improving our baseline reporting processes or driving strategic alignment and value, but one of the key things that drives our interest in analytics today is being able to mitigate risk associated with not knowing what's going on or not being able to spot trends that are going on in the environment that could either benefit us or impact us negatively. So we want to have greater visibility and become much more proactive in how we respond to critical activities in the environment. And then from a reporting perspective, we certainly require that we can support all platforms. We need to access data from an incredible amount of different disparate systems, whether they're databases, data marts, and data warehouses, or hosted applications. We need to make sure that we can get the information that we need in order to make those decisions. And then at the end of the day, we absolutely need a platform that's going to be simple, easy to use, that we can roll out and increase adoptability out into the enterprise. So it's got to be, it's got to be affordable, it's got to be easy to use, and it has to improve our overall reporting processes. Those are the things that we're looking for today. So what are the barriers to better reporting? Well, we've got a lot of hype and a lot of excitement going on around the big data and business intelligence space right now, and there's a lot of vendors that are competing for your attention right now. Now, some of those are some of the well-established vendors out there in the marketplace today, your IBM, SAP, Oracle. We've got a lot of really new, interesting technologies coming out from companies like Tableau and ClickView and Burst, and those are really big applications. They're really expensive. They're really complex, and that's one of the inherent challenges that we're having is how do we take some of these tools that are so comprehensive and so powerful, and how do we make them work for us? because they do introduce this issue of cost and complexity into the equation, and it makes it really hard for us to be successful. These challenges ultimately lead to failed adoption. Now, you'll hear me talk a little bit more about this later on and give you some specific facts around this, but anyone can do research today and find out that one of the biggest risks around analytics today is that we have a lot of failed projects and initiatives that have taken place. So we're not, people aren't able to take advantage of this information despite the infrastructure that's been put in place to help them. One of the other contributing factors to that is that these applications and platforms are very resource intensive. They require very specific skill sets and people who can support your strategy and support the enterprise. And so we're all fighting for those resources. And again, we're making it really difficult, making it really hard on ourselves to be successful because of some of these platforms. And then finally, some of them are real challenging because they don't really provide us access to disparate data systems. Yes, we can extract, transform, and load them into our environments and all that kind of stuff, but then we're starting to introduce latency. We're moving a lot of data. It becomes really complex in how we're accessing this information, and performance is impacted. And this is all regardless of whether you're speaking and you work on the business side of the organization, which has its own inherent challenges with the data marts and data warehouses, and then you have IT, which has its own set of challenges that relate to how do I aggregate data from the 75 or 100 different applications that we use to run the business of IT. And they're very consistent themes. Everybody's challenges are a little bit different, but they all fundamentally make it very difficult for us to accomplish the very simple task of how do I get to the information I need. So Gartner has some opinions on this, as they always do. One of the statistics that we took away from a recent Gartner document is that 50% of business intelligence initiatives fail. I mean, that's an incredibly high rate of failure for projects and tools that are, quite frankly, very innovative, but they're failing. And it's more than just software that's contributing to that, and we'll talk about it. But the number one reason we're failing is because we don't have the end user adoption rates that is so critical to getting the return on investment and the value out of these investments that we're making in these technologies. So we dig one layer deeper into this. One of the big figures, you don't see a lot of consistency in some of these challenges and why projects fail, but what we've seen in our experience and what we read about in the marketplace today is we see a lot of projects and initiatives really start to stall. And there's a lot of reasons that happens. There's initial excitement at the prospect of being able to really increase our reporting and visibility to things that are going on. And then we get distracted. As we're going through the process of implementing hardware and infrastructure, our interest starts to wane. We get pulled in another direction, or we don't have the executive sponsorship that we need to make the project successful. So this is one of the big things that we really need to be aware of as we look at our reporting and BI kinds of initiatives. Number two, they're too expensive for mass deployment. Looking at some of these applications out there require huge investments in software and hardware and people, so the cost of these projects become incredibly overwhelming, and you say to myself, geez, how do I be successful moving this big elephant down the way here? So this is one of the biggest challenges that we see today. The complexity for the non-technical users. This is going to certainly speak to end user adoption. A lot of these technologies that are out there that have all the bells and whistles and every cool thing you could possibly imagine for analytics, the problem is it still requires technical expertise to implement these products, to maintain them, so sustainability is a big issue for us. And the problem with that is it still requires IT to support this, so we're not getting the adoption rates with the non-technical user in our environment today. A lot of that is attributed to inadequate training. So we're not sending enough people to training. We're not giving them platforms that are easy enough to use so we can minimize training costs. We've got to send teams of people off-site for it. It ends up becoming quite a large expenditure as it relates to the overall project, and we recognize that it is still a very important part of things, but this is one of the challenges that we're seeing that contributes to these failures. The other one is the data is not up to date, and what we mean by that is a lot of these platforms are really grabbing data and moving it somewhere, and by the time you actually get access to it, some of the data can be no longer relevant to what you're doing. If that data isn't accurate, if it's not up to date, then people are going to stop using those applications, and they're going to stop using your tools, and those projects are going to start to fail. Now, these are just 5 quick things that are contributing to why these projects are failing. I think you'll see consistency if you do any kind of research around what's going on in the marketplace, but these are 5 of the ones that we felt were the most impactful that we're seeing with our clients. So more than software, you know, the one thing we've seen over the last 3-4 years as we've rolled out our MetriX product is that it's more than just the software. And what we mean by that is if you want to increase your odds of being successful, addressing the needs of the strategic, operational, and tactical decision makers, and all have very different and unique requirements, then you have to have an organizational culture that supports that. So if you belong to a company that is driven by metrics, understands the value of increasing performance and effectiveness, and you're an agile kind of organization, then certainly you're somebody who's going to benefit from that. And you have to have that mindset, and that's why you got to have your business and technical stakeholders so involved at the onset of a project like this, so that you can really embrace it and know that you've got top-down support for a project like this. And from there, after you've defined those requirements, defined your measures, then you really need to have the right processes in place. And what I mean by business and IT processes, it's about, you know, how do we consistently grab the correct data? How do we make it accessible? How do we control it? How do we secure it? Do we have the right processes to manage this very important aspect of reporting? And from there, you need to select a technology that's going to support that for you. It has to enable those processes and that mindset to take place, because that's all the software is. The software is just a platform. It's an enablement to improving this reporting and visibility that we're all looking for today. So if we're looking to increase our adaptability in the enterprise, there's 2 really key drivers of this, and it's timely access to data, and under that, what we're really speaking to is report relevance. The data that we have access to has to be relevant to the specific consumer of that data. It has to enable them to make better decisions. It has to drive value. It has to be accessible. Those are really important aspects of reporting, is making sure we have the right things. It has to be timely. We have to be as near real time as we can be. Some things need more than, more real-time data than others, but we need to be able to make that assessment quickly. And the data quality. One of the things about data quality is that it's one of the biggest challenges as it relates to reporting. We certainly encourage as much as possible with our approach and our vision is to pull data from source data as much as possible. That source data can be a database, it can be a data mart, it can be a hosted application, but really as close as we can get to where the data is without having to move it and aggregate and normalize it with others, and the better. So we want to retain as much quality as we can. You certainly need to have the appropriate training. From a platform perspective, as I said earlier, it's got to be easy to use. It has to be easy to use for technical and non-technical users alike. It has to be an easy platform to support and to deploy. It has to perform well. It has to have that information being presented back to us as quickly as possible. We know that if we're generating and viewing reports and that information isn't being, when we load a dashboard or a report, if that's not updating, within 5 or 6 seconds, we're going to start to lose people on that platform. So speed of that information being updated in our dashboards is certainly important. We absolutely have to address security. I think that's one of the great things you'll see in our product is we've really addressed security at all levels. You've got to make sure you control who sees what, when, and where. and we have to make it an easy security model to deploy. And then accessibility is one of the key messages around analytics, and certainly as it relates to our MetriX product. Accessibility is how do we make the information easily accessed from people, regardless of where they are, or when they are somewhere. We want to make it as mobile as possible so we always have access to the information that we need. So these are the things that are really going to increase adoption rates within your environment. And we really need to be cognizant of that as we're developing our project plans. Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. I'm going to talk about our MetriX 4.0 technology that we've just recently introduced. This is a product we've had around for several years. We're very excited about this new version as it starts to bridge the gap from being a pure play dashboard product into more ad hoc reporting. And the real goal, we've designed a data-driven platform that's fairly lightweight in architecture and allows us to easily and quickly build real-time dashboards for virtually all of our management, monitoring tools, databases, spreadsheets, whatever it may be, and we can aggregate from those disparate systems into one centralized view. The real goal for us with our product is how do we take all of this data, how do we turn it into strategic insight? And again, that's going to speak to making sure that we're defining measurements that really help us drive and advance the organization. So our MetriX advantage. MetriX 4.0 has several advantages over our competitors that help drive greater return on investment and value and increases adoptability. And we're going to try to keep this really simple and straightforward as we talk about it. We have created the easiest to use platform that we possibly can for creating your reports. And we want to make it easy for your non-technical users as well as anybody who's viewing the information. And we'll cover that here in the demo. One of the areas that I think we've excelled with this new version is that we really encourage and foster greater sharing and collaboration of information through a variety of ways, through our dashboards portal, and I'll go into some more detail here momentarily. But this should be one of the things that should be at the forefront of our thought process as we're thinking about how do we want to be successful and what's really critical in selecting a platform that supports our needs. And then it needs to be cost effective. I mean, we can't, again, some of the biggest challenges that we're seeing right now is a lot of these analytics solutions that are out there. You're talking a minimum $300,000 to $500,000 investment as it relates to software, hardware, training, services. And that's just for a small-scale deployment of some of those technologies. These projects end up being millions of dollars when do we really want to spend millions of dollars? And don't get me wrong, I know big data has its place, and so does BI, but sometimes all we're looking to do is simply improve our reporting processes. So that's got to be cost effective. We can't spend an arm and a leg to make that happen. The information has to be done in real time, so our product that we brought to market allows you to view that information in as near real time as you need it to be, and I'll show you exactly how we accomplish that here momentarily. So our #1 initiative, while keeping it simple, #2 is driving down the costs. And these are, as I say here, are two of the primary obstacles to end user adoption. And we've focused on making sure that our product has a very straightforward, affordable licensing model, making sure that the software isn't going to, break the bank or the budget that you guys have defined. One of the big things about our architecture and how we deploy, there's no requirement for expensive hardware, and I mean servers and storage and that kind of information, because we're really acting as that visualization layer. So we, query against that source data, we bring it back in as near real time as you need it, and make it very easy to use and to deploy. That deployment is going to be in days, weeks, not months. I'll be honest, every project, there's no magic in it. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at our solution or a competing one. You have to have the appropriate training and professional services to help kickstart the project, make sure that we've established a sound foundation from which to build upon. I don't think there's another vendor, another solution on the market today that can do that as quickly as we can. And based upon the platform, the simplicity that we've built into this, minimal training is required. I mean, and I think you're going to see very quickly in what we've done here is we wanted to introduce a solution that the non-technical user could very easily work with. And again, I'll be showing that in the demo here. Simplifying real-time data. Our mission is really simple. We want to make access to real-time information affordable, and we want to get it in the hands of everyone, not just the power users. Take a look at some of these vendors and solutions that are around. All these people who are using some of these really cool high-end BI applications, that information, those tools are in the hands of very select few people who have the skill set to manage that kind of environment and to get the data out of it that they want. So we want to encourage accessibility, making sure that we give you, great access, whether it's just viewing the information, leveraging best practices, and fostering collaboration. We want to do that. We want to make this as self-service as possible for all users, and certainly for the non-technical user. We want to help them leverage access to pre-built KPIs and templates. You'll find a lot of information in the marketplace, and I think the trend is moving towards let's build this information. Let's pre-build as much as we can a library of information and data, and then allow people to have access to it, and then they can massage that data. They can customize it based upon their unique requirement, regardless of their skill set. We ultimately want to provide that single pane of glass view into all of your reporting requirements, give you that one place to go to, not one application or multiple ones. We want to give you one single place. And it's really important to note that for what we do is we're trying to overlay all those management monitoring tools and data warehouses that you have. So we don't really replace any of that. And then finally, mobility. Because these are all web-based dashboards, you're going to find out that we can build these for big data center operations. We can build it for laptops, smartphones, iPads, everything along that line. So mobility is at the forefront of our thought process as we build our product. Some of the key features, I'm going to move through this real quickly because we're going to be demonstrating it. Our centralized metric repository, so we can leverage the pre-built KPIs, the My Dashboards portal. That serves as that single pane of glass view into all of your reports. We've completely redefined and redeveloped our user interface. It's interactive. We've got great role and scope-based security and notification capabilities as well. Okay, I'm going to switch over here real quick out of the presentation mode. Bring up my web browser. Now everybody should be viewing our MetriX My Dashboards portal. This is that single pane of glass view that I was describing just a moment ago. As you can see up here in the right-hand corner, it knows exactly who I am. This product integrates with Active Directory, so it can display to me the dashboards that either I've developed or others have developed and granted me access to view. As you might imagine, over time, I'm going to have a wide variety of reports and variations. So as this starts to proliferate, I'm going to have a lot of different dashboards and reports that I need access to. This is, again, web-based, so I can access this from anywhere. But if I want to start to search through some of my reports, I can do that very quickly and easily. So I got this little search window up in the right-hand corner, and I'm just going to type in a few letters here. And by the way, as I go through this demonstration today, you're going to see a variety of IT-related dashboards as well as business dashboards that we've built. So there's going to be a combination of there because, again, a lot of our requirements, we share a common need and vision, but you'll see templates for all of that. So I just typed in SEP here, and this is a semantic endpoint protection technology. Now, I can launch this dashboard by clicking on the title or the icon. I'm going to go ahead and load that particular dashboard. Everything that we're showing you here today is being displayed in real time. So all of these visualizations are based upon data that's being generated in our headquarters. What's really important to note about this dashboard is that each one of these visualizations is independently configured. It's got its own database connection, its own refresh rate. This means I can size, place them wherever I want. I can mix and match from different solutions into one aggregated view for what I'm looking for. And I'll show you how we design these and how we report against this and customize here momentarily. But these are the dashboards that I would publish out for view to very specific individuals in a company. So this is just one very specific template that we use for demonstration purposes. I can also come in here and all I could do, pulled up a sealed air demo dashboard. So this one is showing product forecast by region kind of information. So we can see products by region, by dollar value. We can see it in a wide variety of formats. And I'll show you again in just a few moments how we customize this data for our unique requirements. But I wanted you to see the different look and feel that you can get in these dashboards. We can customize them so they have your look and feel, custom charting formats. And again, we'll make it very easy for people to build their own dashboards. I can also select my dashboard right from here, and I'll go ahead and load another semantic dashboard real quickly. This one happens to be showing the cost of software in our environment, what our compliance levels are. Again, we're using this to reduce our risk of potential audit or not budgeting correctly for our software. But we'll go into more detail here. The reason I wanted to bring this all up is I wanted to show you the power and the flexibility. This is one of the key differentiators for us, is this dashboards portal. I know of no other competitor in the market today who provides this kind of interface that we can easily share this information and get it to the right people, because we can absolutely control at the dashboard level who views what. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to our MetriX dashboard designer. And this is a blank dashboard right now. This is just my dashboard canvas. I have a couple menus that are kind of pinned to my environment. I've got a MetriX repository. Now this centralized metric repository I mentioned earlier in the presentation, I went through very quickly. This is where we store all of our pre-developed key performance indicators, and all of them become drag and drop kinds of things for our dashboards. So if I'm not using, or if I'm creating a dashboard from scratch, which I will do here in a few minutes, I'll show you the drag and drop functionality. But the real value to this repository is the fact that this is where we approach that build once, use many times kind of model. Is once we've built this and made it accessible to all of the users, this is what encourages adoptability in the enterprise. And again, I've not seen another vendor take this approach. We're saying let's create this library of information that people can use. Now, if you're concerned about security, we can secure at the folder level, at the KPI level, so there's a lot of security that goes around that. So I'll go ahead and close that window out. And much like the portal, this dashboard repository, as well as the metric repository, is searchable. So I can easily go in here and say I want to select that SEP dashboard that I was looking for. So it filters against that. Now I'm going to double click and just collapse that folder real quick. Now this is the dashboard that we were looking for that was published before. Now with my mouse wheel I can increase the resolution of this. And this new UI that we've developed for this product allows me to start to treat this as a reporting tool and not just as a dashboard solution. So as I said to you before, each one of these visualizations or KPIs is independently configured. I can move it wherever I want. I can size it however I need to. It's all just done with my mouse here, and I'll go ahead and shrink that back down, put that over here. And what I want to show you is our approach to analytics is really kind of a query and parameter approach, which these 4 line charts that you're looking at right now are all built off the exact same query against the data. The one thing that we've done is we've wrapped around that query a series of parameters that allow us to filter against data that I may want to see versus what you would want to see. So there's a couple ways to access that. But right now I'm going to go ahead and double click on this, and this will expose the properties window for me for this particular panel. This is where I establish my data connection. So these are all the various databases that I have, and I'm pointing to our production set database. I can also embed a hyperlink that will link me to either source data, a report, another dashboard, or even a management console where I can do remediation. So as we start talking about drill down, we can drill down to other reports and other dashboards that give us more detailed information. Now I'm going to also talk about our drill through capability in just a second. But before I get there, as I said, this product is a real-time analytics solution, and I can set that refresh rate for anything from 1 second, 1 minute, 1 day, however I want to have that set up. And as you can see here, I just select whether I'm in seconds, minutes, hours, or days, put what your value is in there, and you're off and running. And by the way, any analytics tool should have an incredible library of different chart formats and things like that. And we'll play around with that here in a few moments. But we have hundreds and hundreds of different chart formats, and you can create your own as well. A few things in here. You can set your border settings, labels, and I'll get into that here shortly. But the real value comes into these query parameters. And this is what allows us to treat this like a reporting tool. As you can see here, I'm looking at a tax by type over the last 14 days. Now if I want, I just simply come in here, select what parameter value I want, and let's say we want to look at weeks. And I'm going to say I want to look at the last, let's say the last 8 weeks. Now the data group allows me to select between attack types, or what they're calling event codes, or severity levels. So this is allowing me to change the data values and data sets being returned back to me. Well, I'm going to leave this as event codes. I'm going to click on this here. And let's say, for instance, we really don't care about intrusion detection and denial of service, and I just want to look at these two particular categories. Do that. Now in a large enterprise, I can also select, do I want to look at everything? Do I want to look at a specific group, location, systems, all of that? The more we wrap around a query, the more extensible that becomes for our end user community. So I'm going to go ahead and close this window out, and you'll see an automatic refresh take place. We're now looking at these two values. Now I didn't change the label, but I'll go in here real quick and just do that. Put in here 8 weeks. I hit my save, and we've got that chart completely updated. So as you make these templates available out to other people, you're giving them access to the information they need, and you're giving them the ability to filter against the things that they care about. That's why the importance is we build that repository, spend our time and energy doing that. And then I can copy and paste from this dashboard to another, whole variety of things that I can do. But it's a very powerful drill-through approach. Now, the benefits of drill-through versus a traditional drill-down is very simple. Some of the analytic tools out there today have a drill-down, traditional drill-down kind of approach, which means it's a sequential path, predetermined path through data. With a drill-through model, we're allowed to change multiple data variables to give us back the very specific data we're looking for. And that's the value of drill-through. And each one of them have their benefits. But we really feel that moving forward, customers are going to want more drill-through capabilities because there's very specific things that we want to look for. So that's an example of what we do there. And before I move on from this dashboard, anything in the MetriX platform that happens to be a gauge or a dial or a counter, we can set notifications against. Again, we want to be more proactive. We want to have the visibility to things that are going on in our environment. So I'm going to go ahead and double-click, expose that properties window again. Now, with this one, I can edit the notification settings. I can come over here, and I can say, well, based upon where I'm at with that value, my low value is going to be 51 in that gauge. My high value is going to be 80. I want to be notified every 2 minutes if I fall into that range. I can do that via email or SMS text. And I'll go ahead and put my email address in there. And then here in the notification text, in the body, you can put whatever information you want. You can put AB compliance, below 80%. Now with the right click of the mouse, I can insert dynamic data, and that dynamic data could be the dashboard name, the metric name, or the reported value. Go ahead and hit that, and I'll return, and then you can add in whatever you want. Contact, Francis, Shirk, security, operations. I can put his phone number in here, his email address, whatever you want. I can even embed hyperlinks in here. So if I wanted to go to semantics, set database, I can also put that link in there. I'll go ahead and hit save, and it's added that notification to my system. Now, if I wanted to add more, I can do that too. I could also stack on a notification for if it falls below 50%, which is my red zone. Then I want to, maybe it's got to go to somebody else for remediation, or I have to increase the awareness of that notification. But you can stack those on. You can send them to groups, aliases, it doesn't really matter. But it's really that easy to set up your notification. So you start building this and you want to preview what your dashboard's going to look like in browser mode. You just click on that real quick. And now my dashboard's running live in there. And my MetriX alert came through, so I'll drag that window over. As you can see here, this is exactly what we set up. It takes you just seconds to set up these very powerful notifications. Okay, so now I want to go back to the designer. I'm going to switch gears from the technology side, go over here to my dashboards, and I'm going to pull up, let's do a search on product. I'm going to go ahead and double click this dashboard, pin this back. Okay, so now I have this dashboard here, and again, I'm going to scroll up on the window here. These are, again, product detailed information. It's breaking out my product set by revenue number, over a given period of time, and by region. So I can customize this information very quickly and easily. I'll go into some more detail when I build that out for you here in a moment. But what I wanted to show you is, again, one of the ways to really increase adoption rates is making sure that as an end user who's non-technical, that I don't, that I'm not required to understand the difference between an x-axis and a y-axis, or what a row and a column is, or how to customize my chart format. All I want is access to my information. So example being my forecast by region. These are the regions that I have that I'm reporting against. But let's say instead of dollar value, I want to see that information in a percentage mode. I can come over here, click on this properties box, and by the way, you can detach these dashboards or these menu systems. And I can create a floater, and I can move this over here, and I can size this window however I want. But I can change, oh yeah, and that's just my dashboard. Okay. Here, I'm going to change, instead of looking at this in a blue monochromatic chart format, maybe I want to see this in a percentage. Go ahead and I hit save. I'm now looking at my data from a percentage perspective. Again, what we've done here is we started rethinking and thinking in advance of what our customers are going to want. Additionally, I might say, and in this particular case we did have this happen, when we showed this product to somebody in this mock-up dashboard, they were like, oh, I really don't like this monochromatic blue theme. We need more contrast. So we came down here and we created a multi-pie chart format. And now we're changing the look and the feel of the dashboard, and anybody can do this. But again, we want to give people options, people who don't need to spend the time trying to work out metric format themes and things of that nature. But everything I want to do can be done there. And again, if I want to change this from percentage to dollar value, I can do that with a click of a button. I'm now looking at the dollar value. So I see where I'm sitting on time here. What I want to do real quickly, again, I can put this properties window back where I want. I'm going to pin that over to the side. I'm going to walk you through real quickly. If we were to build a new dashboard. This is a brand new dashboard canvas that I have. I'm going to give it a new name, Webinar Demo, and I'm going to change the resolution. I'm going to go with a 1080, something that fits my laptop nicely. And I can choose all kinds of different themes for this if I want. And we've created a bunch of them, so if you want this to look and feel like yours, you can. We'll go ahead and change that to Into It. You can see the dashboard canvas has changed. But I want to show you the drag and drop capabilities within the product. So as I come down here, I'm going to go down to top reps by pie chart. I'm going to drag and drop that metric on here. I'm going to size that however I want. Now the select connection name is what allows me to select the database that I want to go to. So I'm going to go ahead and select that database. I've got this particular format. I'm going to go ahead and have to do some things real quickly. These are the parameters that we have. These are all the salespeople on my team. And I'm going to move them into the window there. I'm going to say I want to track sales performance against bags, equipment, fluids, food films, roll stock and trays. Move that over, hit save. I want all of my regions to be involved in this particular KPI, so I say yes to that. These are all my customers. I want to scroll down and make sure that I'm accurately reporting against all of my data. And I can choose how many data values that I want to bring back into this chart. So if it's not just my 5 and I wanted to do 8, I hit save here real quick, close this out, and we'll refresh that data. Okay. So now I'm building my dashboard, and by the way, I'll go ahead and put my label in here. Top 8 reps by product percentage. And I can go ahead and change that. I'm going to give that an Arial black. I'm going to come down to my theme colors that I've developed in advance. I'll hit save. Maybe I want that font to be a little bit bigger. I'll go ahead and hit that up a little bit and hit save. I'm now updating that chart. Now I've got a lot of flexibility with this. I can take this, I can copy and paste this dashboard here if I want to break this down by a different group or a very specific product set. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Now I'm going to change the parameters on this real quick. I want to come over here and instead of reporting against everything that I have in here, maybe I just want my bags. And I'm going to go ahead and move everything else out and see what kind of data value that I get back. Okay, so very, very different information coming back. Oh, by the way, maybe I want to, again, I'd rather look at my dollar value there. And maybe I want that dollar value multicolor there. So we're making it very easy. When you think about what I'm showing you right now, is we're showing you a tool that requires very little training for somebody to drag and drop these metrics onto their dashboard. You know, I'll give you one more quick example here. So if I also wanted to do like top X product types by column chart, I can drag my column chart down here. Again, I'll give it that access to the database. And I do need to go back and do this. We're going to look at top this column chart. Let's do 8 on this one. Getting our top 8 reps out of this number here. And we'll go ahead and put these products in there. All regions. Make sure all, and by the way, we can make this default for you. A lot of control over what you do with that. I'll go ahead and close that out. We now have that chart going for us. Again, if I don't really like that one and I want to change that to a different format, I can use that as well and hit save here, and we're looking at it in a different format. Anytime I start to resize, I just hit this refresh button right here, and I'm off and running. Now, one last thing before I start to open this up for Q&A. I wanted to give you an idea about the the drill-through capabilities, ease of use with the drag-and-drop KPIs. But now as I'm making this available to others to view, within the dashboard properties window, I can do a couple things. I can publish that dashboard into our portal, which I'll say yes to, and I can also select web parameters. Those web parameters is this little gear wheel here. With this product, we make that functionality available via published dashboards, if you want to. And you have to make that decision if you choose to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save here. I'll go back and preview this in a web browser. And now, as a consumer of the data, no longer a designer of these dashboards, I'm just a viewer of that information, I can come in when I mouse over the KPI, I can come up here and I can change this information. I can say I want to look at my top 5, and I can come down here, make any changes that I want. Maybe I want to add in these other 3 back into the mix. I've got my regions in there, I've got all my customers, I hit apply, and that data will change for that. I can even change the label for it. So all of that information becomes, you know, if I want to change that, I can. As you can see, I actually did change the label there. All of these things are customizable right from your smartphone, your iPad. This gives you that true mobile access to customize the data that you're looking at. So a lot of power, a lot of versatility in how we do that. And we're getting to the top of the hour here, and there's a lot of things that I haven't hit upon yet here. But I do want to move away from the demonstration real quickly and talk about one last thing. I'm going to go back to the slide deck, and I want to talk a little bit about the keys to success. You know, we've talked about some of the challenges that we're faced with as it relates to improving our reporting and analytics capabilities. I've wanted to talk about our MetriX platform and what we've just introduced, the cost effectiveness and ease of use. But in order to make this successful, it's like I said earlier, it's more than just the software. You know, it's about people, the processes, and the tools that we're using. First and foremost, if you want to be successful, keep it simple, focus on the small wins, build a beachhead of success in your environment as it relates to reporting. Everything doesn't have to be big. Everything doesn't have to be complex when we're saying, geez, we just want to improve our monthly reporting process as it relates to managers and executives, people who need greater visibility to what's going on. So keeping it simple is really a great thing to take forward. And then you have to establish these executive and technical stakeholders, the people who are going to have buy-in and accountability for the project. Otherwise, if you don't have that, you're going to lose momentum, it's going to wane, you're going to spend dollars that you may not get the value back on. So we want to avoid that. And then this is one of the key ones here, which is define the appropriate measures for your organization. It doesn't matter what product or technology you select. If you can't define the right measures for your business, you're certainly not going to get that value and that return on investment back. So spending the time to understand what you want to measure. And that's why we really encourage that whole metric repository, which is, as IT and business stakeholders, we want to build out what that information is going to be and then just make it available. You absolutely have to understand who and what the consumers of the data require of your environment. Because you're going to have executives, managers, administrator, workers. Everybody's requirements are going to be just so much different that you have to understand, and you have to account for that as you build out your different reporting capabilities. Then from a software, you know, select something that's simple, it's cost effective, it's not going to break the budget. You want something that can be rolled out easily, and that's one of the things that we are driven to providing our customers. Making the information accessible. We do that in a wide variety of ways. We make the dashboards available via the My Dashboards portal. We have the centralized metric repository and the dashboard templates. That encourages not just sharing and collaboration, but best practices. No longer, one of the biggest challenges around reporting today is you've got all these users out here who are building their own reports and dashboards, and they're probably not using it correctly. They're probably not generating it for the right purposes. So, we want to make sure that we encourage and foster best practices. And then finally, invest in training and professional services. It's really critical to making sure that you've established that foundation for success. I put this last statement in here because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it. There is no magic. It doesn't matter. You can listen to me and other people selling their software, but there is still work that has to go into building these infrastructures for reporting. And it's not just going to work out of the box, but you've got to look at a platform that's going to enable you to make it as easy as possible. So there's no magic in there. We've got to do the work, so let's do the right things and focus on the things that will advance the cause of our business. So that's my final slide there, and then we've got a few minutes left. So Stephanie, I would like to address any questions that may have come in during this webcast.
Sure. If anyone does have any additional questions at this time, please feel free to submit them with the questions box on the side of your screen. We're going to begin with our first question. Can you show some of the Altera Service Desk or Asset Management dashboards?
I absolutely can. So we do have Service Desk built. Real quickly go over the dashboards here. Go ahead, I just filtered on that. I'll open that up. Now these are some KPIs that we've built just kind of in a Service Desk capability here. Close that window out, my window here. And again, much like what we were looking at earlier, here are some of the KPIs. Now this database is a little bit old, so there's not a lot of new tickets being put into it. But one of the things that I like about this is our ability to, again, drill through this data depending upon what our need is. So again, right here I've got like top 10 incidents greater than 30 days. And I can come in and change that real quickly, and as you can see, I've done that previously. I was looking at reporting. But I can change my days, I can change the maximum values coming back, and I can move out informatics, move that in, and maybe I want to do all this desktop application stuff. Move that in, save. Okay, so we can change that and move that real quickly, and we've built a very nice library of Service Desk KPIs. So let me go under that folder structure. These are all the Service Desk KPIs in these folders: activity, incident, status, and trending. And all of these are pre-built, and they end up just being drag and drop that you can use in your environment. Okay, Stephanie, next question.
Sure. Next question is, we've been looking at iDashboards. Creating the reports looks much easier with MetriX. Can you talk about one or two major differences between the two products? How does cost compare, as iDashboards is extremely expensive?
Okay. And I don't have direct access to what their pricing model is, but we have heard from previous clients that you're probably looking at a six-figure plus type of investment into iDashboards. iDashboards really started as a Excel kind of dashboard product. I think they're doing more databases today. I don't know their product well enough to tell you exactly how they go about building their KPIs. Like I said, there's no magic there. There's some work to be done. I think the big differences for what we've done is to focus on things like the dashboard portal and the security model around that, making it easy for people to access the information. I think the centralized repository of the KPIs is another big key one. A lot of the technologies, not just iDashboards, but ClickView and Tableau and some of those others, they make it very difficult to share information out. Matter of fact, they'll charge you for it. If you're with ClickView, ClickView charges you nearly $400 per report or document just when you share that out to somebody. Tableau requires you to pay $2,000 just to be a viewer of the data. We don't subscribe to that. We have a very straightforward model. Our MSRP on a base configuration, which is a server, 15 designer licenses, a SQL query connector, and some other things, that's at $39,500. So $39,500 is our starting point for the base configuration. Compare and contrast that with vendors like iDashboards, Tableau, ClickView, SAP. You're talking anywhere from $200,000, $300,000 investments for like configurations. So we're significantly less than that. I hope I got that. All of that question.
Okay, the next question. Do you have tie-ins to service monitoring solutions like, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Nagios, N-A-G-I-O-S?
Okay, very good question. I did not obviously get to everything in this product, so real quickly I'm going to click on the Tools menu here. This is a data-driven platform. We can connect to MySQL, Oracle, DB2, Informix, and both SQLs, MySQL and SQL. Pretty much any database that you need to, we can get access to. We can also access flat files. We can access hosted applications. We can use the ODBC connector to hit data marts and things like that. So I'm confident that we can, but based on the fact that we don't necessarily have experience with that, what we do here is you click on this database connections window right here. These are all those databases that we were looking at when we were setting connection strings earlier. So basically, if I click on one of these, all you do to get access to that database is put the connection name in there, select your database type, give it the path, the name, whatever security that you're using, and then you go ahead and you test your connection, and you're off and running. Now what we are doing, and we're only a few weeks away from releasing a 4.1 or 4.2, we are actually going to be embedding a query builder into the product that will do some data discovery for you, and it'll discover that schema for you. So when you point it at that database, you'll see all the tables and views that are available to you. Now granted, you still need to know, hopefully it's a well-architected schema, and if it is, it'll make it very easy to build KPIs against.
Okay, well, I apologize to everyone. We've unfortunately run out of time to take a few of the remaining questions, but we will absolutely follow up with anyone who submitted a question offline and make sure that we address that. So at this time, we're going to bring the presentation to a close. You're going to notice as you close out the webcast that a brief survey is going to come up on your screen to give you the opportunity to provide us with feedback and also to ask any other questions you may have. As a reminder, we are going to be selecting the first 20 survey recipients to receive the $10 Amazon gift card, so please take the time to share your thoughts with us. We will be sending out an email to everyone with the archived version of the webcast within the next day or so. So keep an eye out for that as well. So on that note, thanks, Ron, for your time today. Thank you all for joining us, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.